Good evening. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm with Woodland Carvers, and we're going to do a little demonstration tonight on some fish decoys. A friend of mine wanted one, and I do fish carving, and I thought I'd attempt to do it, and now I've done quite a few, so I thought I'd show you how to do one. I guess the first thing would be is the category is finding a book or something that would show you some carvings, and this book is very good. It's got a lot of, it shows you the pictures and the side for painting, so you can see what kind of painting you want. We have different, this is the full shape, size. You'll notice that some of these are folded pages. I haven't tore them out yet, but there's different kinds. On the back of the book, it's got illustrations, and it actually will tell you exactly kind of what I'm going to show you tonight how to do. You can follow it right through this book, and it'll show you exactly how to do it too by just following that procedure. So tonight we're going to do a perch. You'll see I got there's the illustration of a perch. This is kind of after it's been painted and the scale or fins have been added. What we got. So first things I'll do is I try to copy this. Now you can do it a couple different ways, but I have a copy machine at home, and I'll run off a few copies. It usually takes a couple to do what I do, but if you don't, you Office Max or in places that you can have copies made, or you can put carbon paper underneath of it and go right around it and get print from carbon paper. You can do the same. But you can do two different ways of doing this, and I'll show you. The first thing you probably want to do is decide what wood you want to use. Some people use basswood. Some people use pine. You want to do a good grade of pine. You don't want a lesser grain. You want a good grain in it, good solid. And I use white cedar. Now they say white cedar doesn't absorb as much water as pine does or basswood would. So I've gone to use white cedar. So you kind of get the size of what you're going to do so you can get your board shaped. What I do is I'll cut that out with the scissors. So that's why I usually get a couple of copies. I can take my scissors, I'll cut the shape of the fish, I'll cut the how you want it to be shaped. No. Two things after that is what I'll do is I get a little glue stick. Take your little glue stick, and I don't do very much of this. I'll show you also another thing I forgot here. Once I cut that out, I'll usually put it up on a window so you can trace through a window. You can see your lines and trace the other side of the fish. For the reason is when you do your carving, you got a right side of your fish and a left side of your fish, so you can use this pattern for both sides. Well, I'll just do a little bit of paste on it, usually just a little couple spots. Put it on. Same with the paste it onto it. You want to make sure that the nose of the fish is at the end, and that when you use the shape of it, you keep that nose at the end so that it'll match up when you want to. I bandsaw it. You can hand carve them once you lay it out. You can trace around it, and then I've done that so you can trace around it. Now you actually carve it with a hand, knives if you want. Either way, works out pretty nice. But I'm a power carver, and so we go a little different. So what ends up being is I got here, I bandsaw. when you bandsaw, you come up, you come short so that it doesn't break off, and you come on this side short so it doesn't. So when you lay it out, all your pieces are still together, and I'll bandsaw this side out, and this side. Basically, when you get done, I kind of got this glued together, but we end up with our fish. After I got my fish out, this is when you'll take and you'll divide your fish up into down the center, and then you divide it into thirds. And you carve each side, all it up, all the way on the back side, front, back, on that. Basically, we'll get to where we are here, and then I'll take it and start to carve. And when I use a power carving, so basically you start from the top, work to the center. That's why we use it in thirds, so you can shape your fish to the center. Opposite side, face it, shape it to the center. So now we've got a curve in our fish. We get the right angles laid out. I'll work our way through these. So then we probably are going to get to here when we have it shaped. We'll sand it really good. You know how it make it get all the, so that when we go back, we have our patterns. And when you take your pattern, you lay your pattern on here, take a little, I take a little carbon paper, slide it up on there, make sure it stays the same, hold it back. Now you can just take your pencil and go through the carbon paper, draw your lines, eyes, on the mouth, gill. Once we have one side done, we obviously can do the other side. Now that we've put the pattern on the back side, you got your left and your right. So you can lay it out same possible way. You go back with your carbon paper, keep that nose as close as you can. Follow the carbon paper on this side, draw your lines that you like, and we're basically going to get our fish laid out like this. The one, you got your lines where you're going to carve. Sometimes when you're doing the eyes, you got an eye on this side and this side. You look down the front of your fish or your carving and see that the eyes are not left or down, so you can move them at this point. Race one, move it down. Sometimes I'll draw a line from the center right across the top so that I can meet the center of this eye and the center of this eye. Kind of keeps them in line. And then the line you're looking this way, you kind of get it so your eyes are not tilted one way or the other on the side of that. It comes out. So I got my eyes all laid out the way I like. I finish the tail, finish dividing that up. So you can just draw your lines on the sides here. We got all our carvings. Now on your film, you'll see where your fins are attached. Right here, where they're right in this period is where this is where the fin will actually go into the fish. What I'll do is I take a compass and I got my center line of my fish that I've had laid out. I'll take a compass, I'll put it on the center, and I go right over to the side, and I draw a little line here, and when I bring it over, I do a line on this side. Just a little, and then you can come in and just straighten that line out. But what it'll do is it keeps your fins equal. You don't have one fin on the bottom, one fin on the top. It keeps them nice and straight together. You can also, when you're doing your eyes, it's kind of a trick too. You put that to the center, and you go to the center of your eye here, rotate it over, have the center of your eye on this side, go to the nose, pick that one up, you get the center of that eye and the center of that eye. So that helps you, at the same token, get everything lined up so it's all going together. I also lay out a straight line on the back. You want to, in here, I lay out a circle. Now you notice on the pattern, little box here. That's actually where the lead will go. We'll carve this. I drill it out. Here, you got to drill 1/3 is a kind of a category that they use. You go 1/3 the depth of your whole body. You go 1/3 of that to the depth. That's where your lead would go to. Kind of a halfway of being level. Sometimes you got to add more weight. Sometimes you got to take a little lead out. It depends, but I'll show you how to do that part. So once I get this laid out, we'll do. I'm a power carver, so I kind of lay my line. I just kind of go under, and I just shape it around the edge. You're not doing a lot. You're just trying to give it a little bit of, so it stands out. So it's just a quick. Just give yourself a little bit of cleaning. So I just do it. Basically, I'll do that all the way around. You get the clean up. I'll do my eye. I just stay right on it. Go right around on the top of your edge. Just do a little bit at a time. Keep it going around. And as you go to deeper and deeper, as you go deeper, then you can come back and just clean it up a little bit on the edges. There, got a little shape of where our eye is. Carve that out. Now, for some of you people that do hand carving, there's another little trick. Let me show you. Get this warmed up. You can do this too on the other, but what I'll actually end up doing is I'll heat this up, and then you can just take and burn your lines. Not deep, you're just gonna carve around it, get your lines all on it. Now, these are the same thing that I did when I was doing when my power tool. I was doing a carve. Now you can come back in with your knife, and you can trim that out with just a knife. And now you've got an edge to work with. Nice edge, cleans up, really nice by just burning it. It's really easy and nice way to work it. Sometimes I'll just do that even if I'm going to carve. I'll do it with, so it's really nice and sharp versus when it's a little rough when you do it this way. So I got it down. So basically, we're down to back. We've got it all carved, shaped. I've got a wheel that I use on my so when you go, I carve the back fin down. I'll carve for the back fin here, because you'll notice on the carving you got one fin here on the back here and the one on the bottom, so you put that one in. Remember I've showed you where you drew the two lines on the side? I carved a little notch on this side. I carve a notch on that side. So you basically got all your things laid out. I'll do the carving my fins, and now we just finish up the sanding, cleaning up your grooves. There's another little trick we can try and show you here too. That cleans up when you're sanding. Usually sanding sometimes puts a little rough on it. And you, when it gets all that kind of a rough edge on it, I'll get this around. kind of a flat. I don't know if you can notice how this is really kind of flat thing. Take and just go right on the edge of this. Whoops, a little high. Burning up pretty good here. You're going to paint it so it doesn't really show up. But what you can do is clean your edges. A little bit high, a little hot. I just clean it right down there. And that gives you that sharp edge too. Clean it right back to it. You notice. So that takes and cleans that up really nice. You can come back and do a little sandy, but your edge is really sharp just because you did the burning. Makes it nice, a nice edge on it. So when you drill for your lead weight, remember I mentioned that you go 1/3 of the depth of whatever your fish you're going to do. That's the depth that you want to drill that down and clean that pocket out. You get that pocket cleaned. Once we've got our fish done, we're basically going to make some scale or fins for it, and I use just galvanized steel, but I'll basically this is an old heating duct is all it was, and I sand it real good to try to take some of the galvanize off. Now when you got your pattern, I take a little piece of paper under it. You notice on the pattern, it has dotted line underneath it, and I shape that right around this one. Over here, I'll copy this one. I only do a half. What I'll show you here. What did I do with my scissors? So basically, I'll trim a little bit out of here. I'll show you. Once you got one of your fin, take and fold that in half. Okay? So when you cut your fin out, they'll be both exactly the same. Now we've got what we want to use for our fins. And we can cut out the other dorsal films and now you can. Some people I talked with, they just they'll lay it on here and they'll trace it. But I also found this little sticky thing works pretty nice when you do these. You just glue these right onto the metal. Paste them right on. Kind of looks really nice. Basically now I take my tin snips and we can cut these right out here. Now we've kind of got it cut out how we like them. Basically, you your fins and to make it short. Some of them, sometimes I'll take and just, I'll trace it out with a black pen, and then you can cut them out with that too. Very simple. So when I get them all cut out, I got the fins that we need, and sometimes I'll take and I've got a wheel, little stone wheel, and I'll carve some lines on here to try to make like there's grooves in your fins. That's kind of, when you paint it, it'll show up a little bit. It's not, you really want to get deep. So then we're at the point that we're going to fit the fins. So when you're fitting, you notice too, there's holes, and there are a couple, and that's why I drill a few extra. That's basically when you hook your line to them. You got different settings, so your fish can be, you know, if you do it here, your fish will be up, or you go to the back, your fish will be down. How you move it, so you can do it different ways, lays in the water different ways. So basically when you're carving, and I make that fit, I carve it down so that they got the point, and the point of this just goes down under. So you'll basically keep carving till you get that fitted in there. Which one is this one? Okay. That one's fitted in. And I'll fit the rear. So I got my rear fin set. That fit in nice. Now we take and fit in our grooves. Make sure everything's fitted. What we're doing here is you want to make sure that you keep it nice bend. It's hard to do to show you. I hold it so that the shape is nice. You can look from the other side too, up and down. Kind of gives you the idea how it looks. You want them to be equal, not one fin up or back, so get it equal. So at that point, when I got everything fitted up nice, I use epoxy. And now you can just use a little bit of two-part epoxy. A bit. Little toothpick. Mix it. Epoxy up a little bit. And I'll try to get as much down into here a little bit as I can with the toothpick, rub it down in there. Put our fins back in it. Make sure everybody's lined up. Looks good. Usually I'll let them seize up a little bit before you go to try to set your other one, because if you're rolling it over, they'll move on you. So usually takes a little bit to let them set up, get them in there fairly nice. Into that mess. Once you've got them set, a lot of times what we do is now is where we're lead it. These will hold it in place, and I have lead. It's a lead pot. This is one that I use. It's actually Orlando's. I borrowed it from him. But you heat your lead up. It's electric. And then if you lift this lever, the lead will come fill that little cavity up. So it doesn't really take a lot. So I think some of them, I see little ladles, and they heat them with a torch. You get, because there isn't very much lead in here. Once you got your lead set into it, and kind of showed you how that one's set up. And this is where I have all the fins now been. You want to make sure when you do these upper ones, you epoxy them really good, because that's every time it's going down, it pulls. So, and I'll take afterward, get them all set. I'll come back in and rub a little epoxy all the way around each edge. Just make sure it's good and sealed, because you really don't want the water to seep in here, because it will go right into the wood. So try to seal that up pretty good, and then you can come back and sand that up, clean it up real good with sandpaper, but you got it sealed. Looks out really good. At that point, when the lead, this is where the tricky comes. I got a barrel, but I have done it in my wife's sink too, in the kitchen sink when I tried it. But when you got your fish, it looks like it's kind of laying crooked right now, but when it gets in the water, it changes its direction. It's kind of funny. So what you're wanting is your fish to be a little bit level, but just a little nosed. So when you jig it like this, the fish will actually turn, because we've shaped our fish with a curve. So when we jig it, it curves, and the weight of it, nose heavy, would want to pull it down. So when you pull, the fish actually curves and goes down. And when you pick it up and let it go again, it'll make another swirl. And that's what the fishermen will do, that just to attract. Once you've got that laid, it's kind of a on-go little deal, because you may have to come in and I've drilled some of the lead out, or I've actually take a 1/4-inch drill and I'll drill another hole right here, right up in the front, and I'll drill that way down in there, and I'll fill that with lead. Now I can, if it's too light in the nose, you can come back and you can take some of the lead back out by drilling it out, or and then you'll get that so it's laying right. That's the way you want it to float. And then we've got it all. We want that. I come in with, this is a marine type, it's like a Bondo. It's the same thing, but this is one I got from my boat, when I had my boat, fiberglass boat. So I have a little patch kit. But then once I've got everything set the way I like it, I come in and I fill that all in and sand it up. You've got everything pretty well set, laid out right. I'll come in after that and I prime it. I just prime it white. And this is where you can get tricky with them. Some I have a carver too. I think last month Karen showed you how to do scales. I kind of make just the lines in it. It's because you're trying to make an attraction. It really is not an actual perfect fish. Some of them I do, you'll notice I got red and white and different color fins and red nosed ones. It's just an attraction. So what you do is you can do anything you like to carve on it, just to give it a different shape, a different color, whatever it would do. Just a little sucker, and I drew the lines. Or you could do, as Karen was showing last month, you could put scales. You could carve all the scales in it if you like. It's just how you feel you want it to look. I got in here, you got crappies, black crappies, a little shiner, brook trout. There's a big pike in here. There's a little walleye in here. There's quite a few patterns in that book if you want to go bigger and better. But until you see how I get them all colored. But I may have forgot, when you get this thing where you got it done to here, seal it with a lacquer sealer before you go to the water. You want so that it don't absorb it. So I'll spray it with a clear lacquer and seal that fish all up before I do the testing. It doesn't make any difference as long as it's sealed with a lacquer. So if I drill it or do anything, then I come back, I'll lacquer that spot so that the wood doesn't absorb any of the water. So when you've got that, and it's just a plain white, basic flat white. You get it primed up good, and now you can go to your color patterns, which in front of the book will show you different. You notice here, this one, it got red with black and white stripes. It's just whatever people like to do with it.